And there have been repeated audits that have found that there is no widespread fraud happening in Arizona. Do you worry that emphasizing election security threats without evidence could undermine public confidence? And how do you ensure that messaging doesn't further any misinformation?
We have a SAVE program that is available to the state of Arizona that the state of Arizona could ensure through their Secretary of State that every county has access to and allow them to go back in and verify those individuals that are on the voter rolls today to make sure they should be voting in the elections that come forward. That's what I would encourage the Secretary of State to do, and I'll be sending out mitigation measures that can help build promise back into that system to maintain the critical infrastructure that is our elections.
Secretary Noem, still in charge of the mass deportation campaign, or is Homeland?
Now I'm still in charge of the Department of Homeland Security. That includes all 23 different agencies under our umbrella, including ICE and CBP, but also FEMA, TSA, Secret Service, the Coast Guard, many, many more.
Secretary Noem, why?
Yes, over here.
Secretary Noem just recently posted a video regarding the DOJ wanting more information on Arizonan voters. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that that would be a wonderful opportunity for him to be transparent and to ensure and promise the people of Arizona that they can trust their elections and that when they show up on election day, they'll get to vote without problems or hassles, that they'll be prepared to make sure that vote counts and that the correct results are announced.
Secretary Noem,
That's right here. I'll come to you next.
You've offered a couple of examples from Kansas, Maryland, and Iowa and such. Can you offer us any good examples of this kind of fraud in Arizona?
Oh, I'm sure there's many of them, but we want to make sure that we talked about several of them this morning at our roundtable that we had. We talked about individuals that may be registered to vote in this state but truly live in another state. I understand that you have mobile homes and boats on lakes that individuals may have as their voter registration address, but not necessarily that is where they live. They live in another state, such as California or on the East Coast. Those kind of situations are things that your county officials should be bringing forward and be asking your Secretary of State for the opportunity to take off the voter rolls if they shouldn't be there.
Secretary
Yeah,
Noem,
oh, right here, sorry.
Why choose to do this press conference this way? Your agency is about to run out of funding. We were just here in Arizona last week at the border, and obviously you bused all of us to a secure facility, and I'm curious as to why choose to do this press conference this way on something that doesn't seem top secret.
Oh, my goodness, this is our critical infrastructure. So one of the things I think is good for all of you to know is that the Department of Homeland Security's mission is to defend the homeland, which means that even on our worst day, should we have an attack, a terrorist threat, if something disastrous happened to our country, the agency of FEMA under the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for running our government, which means that according to law, the authorities that are under this department is maintaining our critical infrastructure, which means it's my job to make sure that our electrical grid is sustained and intact and operational, that we ensure that we protect our cybersecurity. Any kind of manipulation or threats we face on anything that is said or done on the internet is my responsibility. Our water systems, making sure that people have the water that they need for their communities to live and take care of their families. And elections is another one of those critical infrastructure responsibilities that I have as well. And I would say that many people believe that it may be one of the most important things that we need to make sure we trust is reliable, and that when it gets to election day that we've been proactive to make sure that we have the right people voting, electing the right leaders to lead this country through the days that we have, knowing that people can trust it. That's why you're here. For me, I do press conferences because I want to be transparent and let you ask questions and have conversations. But I hope that you do recognize that in the past, your state has been an absolute disaster on elections, that your leaders have failed you dramatically by not having systems that work, by disenfranchising Americans who wanted to vote, that had to stand in lines for hours because machines failed or software failed. There's no state that could use more improvement than Arizona. And you should be asking all of your leaders what they're doing to fix the system. What are they doing to make sure that individuals in this state can trust that their vote is going to be taken, that it's going to be counted, and that it's going to matter to make sure the right people are in charge? Yes. Right over here? Yes.
In Arizona, we already require proof of citizenship to register to vote, but we also allow members of our tribal nations to use their enrollment documents to vote. Under the SAVE Act, they wouldn't be able to do this.
The tribal IDs are recognized. Tribal IDs.
But most tribes don't have tribal IDs, not with photos and places of birth. They
There's many different options that can be used. Now, remember, the SAVE Act only says that you need to prove your citizenship when you register to vote. It does not say that you have to prove your citizenship and able to go and vote. When you go vote on that day, you need to have a photo ID. And many times in Arizona here, you do have that requirement on your voter rolls. However, I understand that you need to go back and clean up your voter rolls. We have a program through the Department of Homeland Security that's called the SAVE program that your Secretary of State and your governor can use today to clean up voters on your rolls that shouldn't be there. Maybe people who've passed away, people that aren't citizens, people that don't live here. And that would make sure that in your next election, when people are casting their votes, they know they're voting for the right decisions and that those votes are counted and they're counted appropriately and someone else didn't get to weigh in on their leadership.
Secretary Noem,
Yes, last one.
regarding the El Paso airspace closure, can you confirm that CBP actually hit a party balloon that it thought was a drone with a laser early this week as it was reported? And if that is true, why wasn't the action coordinated with the FAA?
You know, this was a joint agency task force mission that was undertaken, and we're continuing to work on the communication through that, but recognize we're grateful for the partnership of the Department of War and the FAA as we go forward.
And a follow-up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, everybody.